everybody. What's going on? Welcome back to the Odds Honest Truth right here on the In the Money Media Network. I am Kirk Oganoff alongside Rich Wilhelm, breaking down the NFL Divisional round of the playoffs. Before we get into it, we want to give a shout out to a promotion currently going on Caesars that Rich and I both took advantage of. It's a really fun promotion, especially for you guys who like the NBA. Even if you don't really love the NBA, but say you're just a fan of a particular player, or it's whatever your situation is, it's a fun promo. It's Bet 100, get a free NBA jersey. I'm repping my boy Obi Toppin for the New York Knicks. Rich got himself a nice Cole Anthony jersey, who didn't hit last night. I'm a little angry.
Yeah, it's because I talked him up. I was like, hey man, thanks for all this. You owe me a lot of money, and it's because I talked him up. I gave him the voodoo. But
that's okay. It's all good. But all you have to do is bet $100 towards the NBA. And I think there's a qualification, like your bet can't be any lower odds than minus 200 or something like that. But you bet $100 and you get a free NBA jersey. So assuming you're good at betting, you can make some money and get a free NBA jersey. It's fantastic.
If you're not, I mean, the jersey is still worth more than $100. So.
Exactly. So you're not losing anything. And you can actually, the gift card was up to $150, I believe. Mm-hmm. So you can profit. Even if you lose $100, you could profit here.
Well, I mean, let's tell them what happened with me. I mean, I ordered my jersey. They canceled the jersey. And then NBA store was like, hey, we'll give you an autograph one for the same price. And I was like, sure, let's do that. So, I mean, it could work in your favor. Hopefully they cancel your jersey the first time. And then you're just, you got one in a box over here for your wall.
Absolutely. So that's a fun promo going on right now. The NBA is having a lot of really fun action. It's something we're probably going to dive into a little bit deeper in the coming weeks. So definitely stay tuned. But right now, what the world is talking about, the betting world is talking about, the NFL Divisional Playoffs. We're going to be breaking down for you every single game. We'll have a little college basketball action there in the middle. And we'll wrap things up nice and sweet. Let's dive right into it, Rich. And let's talk about the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow and team. There's a lot of other really great guys on that squad, but I just love myself some Joe Burrow. Mm-hmm. Are diving into the first place AFC Tennessee Titans, who are a very different looking Titans team than we've seen over the last few weeks. They had the bye week. They had the chance to get healthy. And King Henry is going to be back in the lineup. The Titans are 3.5-point favorites. And honestly, despite them being healthy, despite them being rested, despite them being at home, there is a certain je ne sais quoi going on with the Cincinnati Bengals that is pretty hard for me to deny. And I really like them plus 3.5.
I mean, I'll take it one step further. I think I like them to win it.
I like them to win as well. But
yeah,
we're talking spreads first.
Okay, well, we'll talk spreads. Obviously, plus 3.5. Bengals for me too. And then just to give them the odds, I mean, that's minus 110, but the money line is plus 155. So, I mean, to me, you're doubling your money and then some if you go money line. And just the way the Bengals play, everyone's coming together. Joe Burrow, like you said, he's a man among boys. There's a lot of lines in this game that's a little weird to me too. I mean, we talked about it last week. Joe Burrow, I mean, I'm just going to jump right into it. Joe Burrow over 1.5 touchdowns passing, it's free money, and it happened last week. It's still over 1.5 this week, which kind of doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It's minus 190. You're not getting a ton of money, but I mean, it's still free.
But it's
money.
there.
It's free money. Yeah. And then, if you want to kind of parlay that with his over 277.5 for minus 125, you get a little, recoup there. Another plus money bet that I really like this week is Tannehill to have over 0.5 interceptions. Right now, the odds are plus 105, which means you double your money if he throws a pick. And then also, Joe Mixon, he's having every chance to get in the end zone. It just seems like the Bengals don't love him. the past couple of weeks. I mean, he has situations where he should be the one going in the game to get the touchdown, and he's just not. So I'm not going to bet his anytime touchdown this week, but I am going to bet him to go over 60.5. And my other guy, CJ Uzama, I bet him a lot in the past. He's always hit for me. Last week, he seemed to be like the tight end of the week. Him and Dawson Knox just lit it up. His over-under right now is still 32.5. And it's plus 100. So, I mean, to me, this is the most bizarre line that they've had so far. You double your money, and all he needs to do is get 32.5 yards. To me, I think he can do that in his sleep. And you just look across the board as far as with the Bengals this week. Joe Mixon over 21.5. I think that's absolutely going to hit as well. That's minus 115. He gets a lot of receptions. I know in the past I've hit him 3 or 4 times because his over-under was 2.5. He's just a little security blanket for Joe Burrow, which I love. Tyler Boyd is low at 46.5. T. Higgins is on the lower side at 63.5. I would bet Boyd. I don't know if I would bet Higgins. And then Jamar Chase, he's at 76.5. I think he can do that with ease, especially since this game might be a little bit of a back and forth shootout type game. So, this is going to be a fun game. This is one of the top 3 games. This might be number 2 on my list. And just kind of going back, Joe Mixon over 3.5 receptions. I think he hits that. Uzama's at 3.5 also. That one's a little more risky. I think he can definitely get his yardage in 3 or under, but asking him to get 4, I don't know if I would do that. So those are mine. Obviously, there's a lot, and you can see that I'm really Bengal heavy, but I was really Bengal heavy last week, and I think we hit almost everything besides that Mixon touchdown. So
yeah, and I think that Derrick Henry is pretty likely to get into the end zone as well. Looking at the Titans side of things. And definitely take a look at whatever, the game boosts end up being and things like that. I think there's sometimes some really good opportunity there, on game day to have some kind of fun odds boosts and things like that.
My favorite one that I see, just because I love kickers, if you watch the show.
This is a good one.
I'm a kicker fan. Evan McPherson and Randy Bullock each to have 1.5 field goals made, and that's plus 425. I mean,
and that seems like a no-brainer to me,
right? It seems like a no-brainer. Plus, I mean, that you're going to quadruple your money there. I mean, sign me up for that. That's like 25 to win 100 and something.
Yeah, I might lock that one in now. Like while we're talking, I mean, I love it
before it goes down. Yeah, for sure.
We talked about like how much we're looking forward to this game, and I am very much looking forward to this game. I'm going to give a slight caveat here, though, in terms of expectations for viewership, because the Titans to me are a team that could come out really hot or be very cold. They're coming. There's a lot of people coming out of injury. They had the bye week. They needed the bye week. But the team that made it to the playoffs is not the team that's going to be playing the playoffs. And so it might not all come out and gel perfectly. Whereas the Joe Burrow-led Bengals are hot. They've looked explosive. It's that same squad that we've seen the past couple of weeks. So that's kind of where my brain is at and why I really like them to win this game, because they are currently the hot team. They have the hot hand, and they have a very, very explosive offense. So those are just kind of my thoughts. I'm going to lock in that kicker bet. Yep. And let's move on over to, I think this is my favorite matchup on paper this weekend, but this has some potential to be a terrible game as well. And that's the San Francisco 49ers, who I was all over last week. I'm just gonna take a beat to brag for a second.
You were.
You told me the Cowboys. Jonathan Kinchin told me the Cowboys. Everyone and their mother was telling me how great the Cowboys were. And I said 49ers plus 3. I said 49ers to win. And look who's advanced. It's the San Francisco 49ers. It wasn't always pretty, that game, but they did it. Was the whole point. They did it. And they needed a lot of help from some very poor play calling and some really weird refereeing last week. But you know what? They got here, and that is all that matters. Nick Bosa left last week's game with a concussion, and that is, I think, a huge X factor in deciphering this game and how you want to bet it and how you want to play it. We're going to talk about this as well with another matchup, but the only surefire way to beat a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers is to get after the quarterback. And the 49ers defensive line, when fully healthy, is one of the best in the NFL. But Nick Bosa is a huge part of that. And if he does not play, I don't think the 49ers even have a chance of covering this 5.5. If he does, I think they do have an opportunity to. But I'm really leaning towards the Packers. I think the Packers are probably the best team in the NFL. I really like them to win it all this year. Aaron Rodgers is a man out for blood. You know, I think this is the year they finally put it all together. Now, they've looked a little cursed in the playoffs of years late. They've looked a little cursed against the 49ers. But at the end of the day, I just don't know if San Francisco has the firepower to keep up with a team like the Green Bay Packers. So I'm leaning Packers minus 5.5.
All right. I mean, I like that. I mean, I think I might go the other side, which I mean I gotta pick the Gorbanov side. You know, I'm going that they're gonna cover the spread this week, but I don't think the 49ers win. I just think it's gonna be a close game because when they played earlier in the year, it was nail biter. One of the best games of the year was when they played earlier in the year.
Yeah.
But I mean, has there ever been a time where you looked at the specials and the odd boosts and you thought to yourself, every single one of these can hit? I mean, I'm just going to run through them real quick, but you tell me what won't hit. Jimmy G over 242.5 passing yards and Eli Mitchell to score a touchdown. All right, that seems logical, plus 230. He's going to have to throw the ball because Green Bay is going to be up. Jimmy G over 242.5 passing yards and Aaron Jones over 52.5 rushing. Again, very logical. And then if you want to get even more logical, Aaron Rodgers over 264.5, which he does in his sleep essentially, and Aaron Jones over 52.5 rushing. And then if you want to take the quarterbacks out of the whole thing, Eli Mitchell over 76.5 rushing yards and Deebo Samuel over 54.5 receiving yards. I think Deebo Samuel, I mean, I said it last week and he delivered. He's the everything for this team. I mean, he is a Swiss Army knife. Yeah. If he plays well, they have a chance in every single game, which is why my favorite boost of the week, and I think, Craig, you're going to agree on this one, Packers to win, Devonta Adams and Deebo Samuel both score a touchdown is plus 280.
Oh, lock it. Lock it
right?
In right now.
That one that's a home run for sure. So, and there's also Packers to win, Aaron Jones over 52.5, Deebo over 54.5. There's so many on Caesars this week that like these odds boosts and specials essentially make your bets for you. I mean, we can go over them each one by one, but I mean, they kind of do a better job this week. They're actually making them logical. It's nothing that won't happen. There's nothing that's really crazy here. So sign me in for whoever's making these boosts this week for this 49ers Packers game and just go down the list and pick maybe 4 or 5 that you like. They're all plus money. So
yeah, they're all pretty good. Another thing to consider for this game in particular is both teams have a number of good weapons. But you talked about 2 of the best weapons in this game, and that's Deebo Samuel and that's Devonta Adams. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be shocked if both of those guys got into the end zone twice for those teams. Maybe you're leaning more towards Devonta Adams than Deebo, but I wouldn't be shocked if both of them got in twice. There's some good plus money there. If you're feeling frisky, and I might be, depends on how the Bengals game goes, I might throw some money at Devonta Adams to get in the end zone twice. I had him for fantasy football. He does it all the time. So I just, we might flirt around and have some fun. I know there's a player you like to get into the end zone twice a little later on this NFL weekend as well.
I like Deebo twice too. I'm not going to lie. I mean, if I just plugged it into the old Caesars machine here, $25 wins you $122.50. I mean,
for a guy who touches the ball as often as he does, right?
Exactly.
It makes a lot of sense. The over-under for this game is 47. We didn't talk about the over-under for the Bengals game, but for the Packers 49ers game, I think that over is a little high, but I like the over.
I like it.
Yeah. I like it. But it depends a little. I mean, sometimes Jimmy G is a confusing quarterback in this sense, where sometimes he looks really good and other times he looks like he has no idea what he's doing out there. for the sake of our betting wallets, I hope we get the good Jimmy G. And he's also playing for his job, and he's playing for not just his job in San Francisco, but a job. I mean, if he has a good playoff game, he'll be starting somewhere else next year, or maybe he stays in San Francisco. Yeah. Who knows? But if he has a bad game, I think it's going to be the Trey Lance era. Let's take a little break as Coda's Rich's dog says hello, and let's head on over to the college basketball scene. Let's throw it on over to David Dubovi, and then we'll be right back to break down the rest of the NFL divisional weekend.
What's going on, everyone? Back for another week of NCAA men's basketball bets. Today, we got one game on Thursday the 20th, and then we got two games on Saturday the 22nd. The game today is number 1 ranked Gonzaga versus San Francisco. The Zags are 14-2. San Fran is 15-3 on the year. Gonzaga is a 16-point favorite. The over-under is at 159.5, and the money line is on Gonzaga at -2,000. It's safe to assume Gonzaga is going to win this. They're the best team in the country. I'd probably hit the over. Gonzaga scored 93-plus points the past 5 games, and I'd probably take the San Fran points here. Their record speaks for themselves, so I think they'll cover the spread. And then Saturday, first game I got is 12th ranked Kentucky visiting number 2 ranked Auburn. This is going to be a great SEC game. Both teams should make the Final Four this year or be Final Four contenders. And I got Auburn winning this, and I got the under. I think this is going to be a very close defensive game, hence the under. And then lastly, we got Seton Hall versus St. John's at MSG this Saturday. Seton Hall's 11-5 on a 2-game losing streak. St. John's, their last game, got blown out by Creighton. I think this is going to be another good game at MSG. I got Seton Hall winning this, and I'd probably hit the under as well. Both teams are pretty good defensively. See you next week.
All right. Thank you so much, David. Let's dive on into Sunday's matchups. And something we probably should have pointed out first is what time these games are. Saturday, this game starts at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Second game's at 8:15 Eastern. Sunday, the game starts at 3 p.m. Eastern, and then our second game is at 6:30. I gotta admit, I really like the game starting at 3 and not going until about midnight. I really appreciate that personally as a man with a bedtime. This is right up my alley.
Yeah, California has it nice. I mean, they got to wake up a little earlier, but I mean, they're done. They're eating dinner during the game at night.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with a cup of coffee at kickoff. Not
at all.
And I have one at 1 p.m., but at 10 a.m. be even better.
Yeah,
even better. Let's dive into this Rams game, Rams-Bucks game, because to me, this is the game of the week. I think that this could be a nail biter. I think that both of these teams have everything they need to win a Super Bowl. It's just a matter of who's going to get it done. It's Brady. It's Matt Stafford off of his first playoff win. It's crazy that I'm talking about Matt Stafford in the same respect of Tom Brady. But he is one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, has just not had the postseason success, but now is finally on a team that is built for success, and they're all in. They all know it. This is a team that needs to win a Super Bowl, or that's it. And Tom Brady's kind of standing in their way, which is sort of fitting for, I think a storyline perspective, right? You're a team that's all in trying to win a Super Bowl, and you have to get past the man who's won more Super Bowls than anyone. I think that's some fun storytelling, but that's the video producer in me. Let's break down this matchup, though, and the line is currently set at 3. I do think this game comes down to a field goal, so kind of regardless of outcome, I like the Rams +3 because I think this will kind of end with a last-second field goal to win it. Either side of it, the over-under's at 48. I think this will be a high-scoring game as well. I like the over. But to me, the biggest key to this game is going to be that Rams defensive line. And historically, any team that has wanted to beat Tom Brady needs to get pressure up the middle and get him off the spot. the Rams are a team that are built to do that. Whether or not they do it is another question because this Buccaneer team is really good. They have a really solid offensive line. They're getting Leonard Fournette back, playoff Lenny. Both of these teams are really solid. It's going to kind of come down to one or two plays. And with that said, typically the Buccaneers and Tom Brady are the ones to make those one or two plays to win the game. So I like the Rams +3, and I like the Buccaneers to win, and I like the over. What are your thoughts on this game?
Well, you said it's the game of the week. This is actually my least favorite game of the week, so we're disagreeing on that. But I mean, I don't know. I think we view it a little different. I mean, for me, I think this is going to be an absolute Bucs win. I think this is going to be the game before the actual game, and I think this is going to be, a preview for Bucs Packers, because you have the Rams who started the year off, caliente, and then completely went dead, and then came back, and then they played the Cardinals last week, who the Cardinals, if they had the makeup that they had last week, they wouldn't have made the playoffs. DeAndre Hopkins was that entire team. He needs to be the MVP because he is that entire team. He plays all 52, roster spots. So for me, I mean, you can't really base the Rams off of what they just did against the Cardinals, because I think most teams could beat the Cardinals at this point. But the Buccaneers, I mean, they just beat up on the Eagles. Again, I think most people could beat up on the Eagles. So it's kind of like who's better at the end of the day. And it's going to come down to Stafford, and it's going to come down to Brady, like you said. But Stafford had a lot of games in a period of time where he just looked completely, dead. He was throwing pick sixes every single week. Buccaneers have a really good defense. The Rams have a really good defense. I think the only clear-cut bet that you could have this week with ease is that both of these guys are going to throw interceptions. And the odds are they're not terrible. I mean, if you're looking at Stafford, it's -135. If you're looking at Brady, it's -110. But let's just break down the player props. Odell Beckham Jr. is kind of having a little bit of a resurgence right now. If you look at what he did with the Cardinals, he's toe tapping for touchdowns. He's like, Cooper Kupp, I got this. Don't worry. I'll take the first, half. You get the second half. He's only over under 46.5 right now, which I think he can definitely get. Cooper Kupp, his over under every week is just insane. And, we said it last week. He was at 105. He didn't get 105. He's at 100.5 this week. And I'm kind of cautious on that one as well. But
especially as guys like Odell, right, are kind of coming alive, and the rest of this team is sort of gelling. They're sort of shying away a little bit from Cooper Kupp, right? And he's not having these video game like numbers. He's having very good numbers. So, that triple digit 100, right, it's daunting.
Yeah, for sure. And then on the other side of things, Mike Evans, I liked it for him to go over that 70.5. But there's no one really on that list besides him that kind of jumps off the page. I'm not going to bet on Tyler Johnson. I'm not going to bet on Cameron Braid. I'm not going to bet on Rob Gronkowski, even though in the playoffs, Gronkowski is great. 63.5 is a little high. He plays crazy when he's getting incentives, but there's no incentive for this game. My guy, you said it earlier, Leonard Fournette is back, and he would be the person that I'm going to bet like crazy this week. It's just his lines aren't out yet because he hasn't been officially activated yet. He said in a tweet basically that he's coming back no matter what. He's back. He's going to start if he's back, obviously, and I think he's going to score twice. He's the bread and butter for Brady when he's in there. Him and Gronk and Evans, they're the whole team. Another fun one that I like, and it's just because Tom Brady is a social media guy now. I mean, you see all his videos, but this fun stuff that he does. He just came out with a video where he basically was telling Madden that they need to they need to up his speed rating because he's mobile now. His over-under for rush yards in this game is 1.5. So just because he's got that little snickering, Tom Brady grin, I think he's definitely going to run for over 1.5, even if he takes a knee to end the game at the end of the game. So just because Tom Brady is Tom Brady, that one's going to be in the bag probably in the first quarter. But I like the Bucs.
Yeah, I do think the Bucs end up winning at the end of the day. I'm obviously rooting for the Rams because I'm a bit of a Rams head. I like Matt Stafford, and honestly, I don't like Tom Brady, and neither do you.
No.
So,
I like him more
you know,
now that he doesn't play.
more
my team
now as a
twice.
buck. Yeah, definitely more now as a buck. Total side note, but he's coming out with a clothing line, Tom Brady, and I don't know where he gets off, but it's like $200 for like a T-shirt.
That's where he gets off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a little angry at Tom Brady for that. Just in general.
Yeah.
So obviously we have some different takes on this game. I think there's a lot of value here. I'm very excited to see how it pans out. But yeah, at the end of the day, I feel like the Buccaneers are going to win, but that's my gut. My heart wants the Rams to win. And I think it'll be a fun one at the least. Let's talk about let's call it the headliner. It's the last but not least. It's the Buffalo Bills at the Kansas City Chiefs. The Bills are coming off of a glorified bye week against the Patriots. I mean, that was just a beatdown in every sense of the word. And the Chiefs are coming off of a glorified bye week against the Steelers, which was a beatdown in every sense of the word. The spread is 1.5, so it's really a pick 'em. The Bills are currently the underdogs. Over-under is at 54, which is the highest of any matchup this week. We were talking about this game a little bit before recording, and honestly, it's a coin flip for me. I think both of these teams are really good. I think that, both of these offenses are awesome. Both the defenses make opportune plays. At the end of the day, I think this is going to come down to which quarterback can get one more drive, because I think this is going to be a shootout. And historically, I feel like Mahomes has that one more drive in him more so than Allen. But I'm not really basing that off of any particular stat or anything. That's just in my brain. That's what I remember from watching these two teams over the last couple of years. So at the end of the day, my gut is telling me to lean with the Chiefs. But I have a very hard time believing that, because I think that Josh Allen, this Bills team, there's something special there. I mean, when he threw away that ball and they still got the touchdown at the back of the end zone, I was like, that's the stuff that Super Bowl winning teams have happen for them. Whether it's luck, whether it's skill, whatever you want to call it, it's just insanity. If Bills Mafia wins a Super Bowl, I think they're going to light a building on fire and all jump through it, which would be hysterical. So I guess in my roundabout way of telling you, I don't really know who's going to win this game. I probably won't bet the result. I think I'll just take a look at some of the player props and maybe have some fun there, because honestly, this outcome is too much of a coin flip for my liking. I do think both of these teams can get to like 28 points, though, so I like the over, even though it's high at 54, because these are some two high-scoring teams. And it's not in Buffalo, which always helps, when it's not 2 degrees for scoring. So I'll throw it over to you. What are your opinions of this game, and what are some player props that you're looking at?
So this is the kind of game that I'm not going to bet the spread, because I don't want the Bills to win. At the end of the day, I think the Bills win this, and I think they win it outright, which hurts my soul, because that means they're probably going to the Super Bowl. It's hard to imagine that the winner of this matchup isn't going to be the one that wins the AFC. If the Titans beat the Bengals, I think it's an automatic that one of these teams go to the Super Bowl. I think the only team that can maybe make it interesting is the Bengals, even though the Titans beat both these teams. They beat the Bills. They beat the Chiefs. Not the same team. But just looking at props, we do this every single week. I don't know how this doesn't go up. Josh Allen is only at 1.5 passing touchdowns. It's minus 170, but he's good for it. You're just looking at the passing yards too. I mean, these are both good defenses. I mean, the Buffalo Bills defense is a lot better, but 278 and 281 for Allen and Mahomes respectively. I think they can hit that. I also think that they both are going to probably throw an interception, and I know that it seems like a broken record, but I think they both will. For Mahomes, it's plus money. And Mahomes, he threw one against the Steelers. I think he could throw one against the Bills. Plus 115 for Mahomes, and then minus 115 for Josh Allen. And just kind of going through it as I'm doing it right now. Singletary is kind of, he's obviously running back 1. I don't necessarily think he's going to go over that 60.5 yards. Josh Allen's at 50.5, which is insane. I don't think he's going to get 50.5. I don't like to bet unders because that, makes you kind of limit the game. I want the game to be exciting. So I wouldn't touch any of that. If you look at, let's throw it back to you here, Craig. I mean, Stephon Diggs, that's your guy.
My guy.
I mean, he's at 71.5 right now. What do you feel about that number?
Say the number one more time. It broke up on my end.
71.5.
I like it.
Yeah.
I think that this could be like an 85-yard type of game for Diggs. And if it ends up being the shootout that we kind of think it is, like, I think he'll probably be over 100. This is a primary receiver. He's the top option for Josh Allen. It's an offense that can push the ball deep. I'm also he's on my fantasy team and I like him a lot. But
yeah,
no, I think Diggs can hit that pretty easily just based off of this game is going to be an offensive game.
Absolutely. The other two that I like on the Buffalo Bills are Gabriel Davis over 30.5. He had a nice little touchdown last week. And then Dawson Knox over 38.5. Every time I bet Dawson Knox, he doesn't cash. So I'm not going to bet it just so you guys can bet it. Over 38.5. And then on the Chiefs side, Travis Kelce, he loves going over 100 yards in playoff games. I don't know what the exact number is, but I think he has like 5 in a row in the playoffs. It's his thing. 70.5 is less than 100. So give me Kelce there. As far as receptions go, you said that you like the 70, the 100 mark for Stephon Diggs. What do you feel about over 6.5 receptions?
That's probably a little high for a team with as many weapons as the Bills. I would advise to just not touch it.
Don't touch it. All right. What about 22.5 yards as the longest reception?
I could see that happening.
Yeah, me as well.
Yeah.
And I can also see Singletary going over 11.5, just a little dump off. Whenever a running back is under 15, I like to take that. On the Chiefs side,
especially with how often teams are doing screens and yes. Even in a situation like say the Bills need a touchdown to win the game at the very end and the Chiefs have all their guys back, like a little dump off or something, and they take it for 15 to 20, like for sure it's an easy one.
And then the other two on the Chiefs side, Kelce over 22.5 as longest reception, and then Tyreek is over 23.5.
I don't love Tyreek.
He hit that. I mean, he did have a touchdown last week. I think he's going to get a little more healthy. But I mean, if you look at Tyreek, if he catches the ball, it's usually a bomb. Sure. Like it's either like a little dump off, like 1 yard and see what he does, or it's a bomb. So, I think that
might be worth throwing a couple of bucks. But I just I don't know. There's something about Tyreek the last couple of weeks, and I get he kind of righted the ship a bit last week, but he hasn't quite looked like himself. Put it like that.
I get that. Yeah. I mean, the injury, definitely you can see the injury. But my bets of the week are maybe right here in this game. Tyler Bass and Harrison Butker over 2.5 each extra points. They're going to score at least 3 touchdowns, and they don't normally miss their extra points. So if you want to parlay those guys, it's minus 120 for Bass, minus 130 for Butker. I love kickers. They both hit last week easily. So, parlay those guys. Put $100 on it. Let's see what it is. I'm going to do it right here live on the show. If I parlay these two guys together, let's say $100, $310 for extra points. Sign me up for that.
That's I might do it. Of the week. I might do it. I like it.
Yeah. There's no way to score on less than 3 touchdowns. Come on now. That's craziness.
I'm going to put you on the spot with a couple of these, Rich. You scroll down a little bit on the NFL page on Caesars, and there's some fun props for kind of overall this weekend. So lowest scoring team this weekend. Who do you think it is?
Tennessee Titans.
I also think it's the Tennessee Titans. Great odds, plus 660. Mm-hmm. The shortest odds are the 49ers. That's the other one that I think could do it. But for me, I think the Titans are going to come out pretty cold. Most rushing yards this weekend. You got Derrick Henry. You have Elijah Mitchell, you have Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones, Lenny Fournette, Sony Michel, Devin Singletary, Cam Akers, Josh Allen, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, they got like everybody and their mother listed here. Who do you think?
Leonard Fournette plus 1,200.
Plus 1,200. Plus 1,200. So, that's some fun odds. Highest scoring team this weekend. I think it's going to end up being the Green Bay Packers at plus 400.
Oh, man. I think it's going to be whoever wins out of the Chiefs and the Bills.
That's my other choice, but I don't know. I kind of just see Rodgers putting up 55. Like, I don't know why. It's in my
55
brain.
points?
Yeah, I just see Aaron Rodgers coming out looking for blood, and I don't know why, but it's in my brain.
I mean, I would love that. That works for me. That's a fun game.
Most passing yards this weekend. I like Aaron Rodgers at plus 500, and I think it's a no-brainer.
I'm actually going to go Josh Allen at plus 600.
It's good odds.
Yeah.
And total combined points, all divisional week games, 198.
You got 4 games. Well, let's call it 200. That's a ton. That's like 50 points a game.
Yeah, and if you look at the over-unders for every game this week, they're all hovering around 50.
Yeah. I'm going to go under just because I think the Bills Chiefs
I'm going to go under mostly because of the Titans.
That works for me. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of points. There could be one dud that just ruins it. If let's say the Rams and the Bucks are like a 17-7 type game, that ruins it. It's over.
Well, see, I think that game will end up being Bengals Titans. I think that'll be the dud. I think the Bengals have a good game. The Titans come out flat, and the Bengals just kind of run out the clock towards the last quarter and a half.
Yeah.
So that's going to do it. I don't think there's any other fun bets here on the Caesar Sportsbook. Thank you guys so much for listening to the show this week and every week, The Odds Honest Truth. Make sure you follow along on YouTube, like and subscribe. Follow along on Twitter at Seagores94, at Coda522, at Odds Honest Truth. Thanks to the people in the Money Media, Pete and Jonathan and all those fine folks. And that's going to do it. Thank you guys so much for listening. Best of luck this weekend, wherever you're playing, however you're playing, whoever you're betting on. And until next time, allegedly, that'll do it.